episode of those smack-talking guys. Full of opinions on games, music, culture, and current events. These guys cover it all while humiliating each other. This is Generation Flip. Don't forget, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And now, crapping it up, here's your hosts.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Generation Flip Podcast. We got a great show for you guys today. But you guys all know my boy from San Jose. He's been keeping it real. He's been keeping it busy. You know what's up, Big Brown.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, man, I'm excited today, man. I'm going to learn something new. I've always seen these things. I never knew much about them. I never paid too much attention. But, you know, lately I've been seeing everywhere, and I've been seeing a lot of it. And I know, Flip, I know you're into it, man. I know you like that stuff, and it's interesting. I find it interesting because it's a new way to look at things, you know, other than, you know, the normal internet craze or, you know, novel books. I think with the stuff that we're going to talk about today, it's kind of like I think it's the new stuff. Right, it's got to grab you, and I tell you what, it grabs you, man. You know.
Oh yeah.
So I'm interested. I'm interested in looking in and finding more about it. You know, because you got to have a creative mind.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And
if you're into
folks,
drama, you're into you know, murders, suspense things, and stuff like that. I mean, this is pretty interesting. We've got a unique guest coming on from all the way from Australia. He's a writer,
down under.
He's a writer, producer of his own books, his own comic books, and we're not just talking about children's comic books. We're talking about adult, kind of like Adult Swim comic books. And if you're into adult comic books or going to Comic Con and stuff like that, you know what I'm talking about, because the graphics on this stuff is awesome, amazing. The soundtrack to some of his trailers are amazing. So, you know, this dude, unbelievable. I can't wait to get into a few topics with him, with his books that he's came out with. I've got a few books here myself, and we're also going to start maybe 2 or 3 weeks later with a live stream with him, so that you guys at home, you know, you could ask some questions if you like, and we will be giving away a free copy of his book to you guys, you know, and so stay tuned to that. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you know what to do after this. Go ahead and subscribe, hit us up if you have a comment in the comic books, in the comic lines. So what's going on, Brown?
Good, man. I'm a little tired, man, but you know, I had some fun over the weekend.
It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
I hear.
But I'm back, baby. I'm ready to get going, get in the grind, and getting ready for Costa Rica in 2 weeks. I'm gone. Right. Gone. We'll have to do some shows coming up. You know, it's not all about the big boys. You know what I mean? It's about the little cats too. Hey, there's plenty of love for everybody, man. Some of these guys put their blood, sweat, and tears, just like this cat we got today. Now, he's not just a comic writer. The guy's a music producer. He's a composer. He's a writer. So you can't just say he's a comic book dog.
Oh no,
this guy does it all, man.
But he's got some good. I swear. I mean, I was into comic books in the 80s and the early 90s. I'm telling you, man. And this is really interesting stuff. So let's welcome Mr. Morgan Quaid.
What's up, Morgan?
What's going on, Mr. Morgan? How's everything going?
Going great, man. Going great. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show, my man. Great to have you. I know it's a different time zone over there in Australia. You know what I'm saying? So
you're ahead of us, baby. He's ahead of
you.
Yeah, you're way ahead of us, son.
Yeah. So hey, do me a favor. Hey, Morgan. Shoot me over the Super Lotto numbers, because you're a day ahead of us. Shoot it over to me. Let me go buy some tickets, baby.
50-50 split. That's
I'll chop it with you, man. I agree. I'd rather have a little of something than a whole lot of nothing. Good
so
deal,
tell us
man.
a little bit about yourself, Morgan. I mean, thanks again for coming on our show. We really appreciate it. Interesting stuff when I saw your profile. You know, you're a writer, producer. You know, give us some more, enlighten us some more of your perspective and what you do, man.
Yeah. So as you said, I produce indie music. Work with a lot of producers on the music side of things. I've been a writer for a fair while, an indie writer with novels and that sort of stuff. Mostly fantasy, sci-fi, weird fiction. The weirder the better. So I've been doing that for a while, and it was fairly. Actually, it's not recently now. So probably the last 7 or 8 years is when I started to get more involved in comics and comic creation and graphic novels and all that sort of stuff. So more recently, I do a lot more with comics and that sort of thing, but still write novels and short stories and anything else. So primarily, it's all about the writing for me and the ideas and stories and all that sort of stuff. But I love music, so it's also.
Well, you also bring to your comics. You also bring in your trailers your own music, right?
Yeah. I usually compose for the trailers, and the trailers are really cool because it's kind of like I can grab the artwork because I'm not an artist, so I don't do the artwork. I can grab the really cool artwork, kind of put it together, sort of like a cheap TV show, and then add the music underneath, and then do a bit of voiceover stuff. So it gives me a taste of what it would be like to be on the Hulu or Amazon or Netflix or wherever.
Well,
yeah,
I got it. Go ahead, Brown.
No. I was gonna say that's cool because some guys, if you're the writer of the show, you're gonna have to you're gonna want to put the music to go a certain way with it. And some guys aren't able to do that, but that's the beauty thing about you. If you're writing it, when you want the dun dun dun, and that's cool that you can do that because you're doing it a little bits and pieces of everything, not the graphics, but at the same time, when you've got the verbiage and then you got the music, it makes it easier, I would imagine, for the graphics designer to make that, like that pow or that boom or the pop, so that's cool. I respect that. That's nice.
Yeah, man, and I actually start with the music first because of exactly what you're saying. So I can time everything to the music, and
right.
Yes, I'll start with the music, and then actually music,
roll it out,
voiceover, and then the artwork last. Yeah, usually.
Nice.
And then on top of that, you add the voiceovers on top of it, and it makes it so much interesting. Morgan Quaid's got a website. We're going to go ahead and drop his link in the description. You can go check out his website. He's got all the stuff there. It's called INDEGOGO. He's got a link there that you could help support him in creating more novels and stuff like this. This is really awesome. The Blood Below is basically, I'm reading here, is a crime horror type of novel. Am I correct?
Yeah. So it's like you say, it sort of starts with a crime investigation, but very quickly gets into weird fiction and horror, and it kind of has a steampunk vibe to it as the story goes on. So it essentially starts with there's a double homicide. Detective is called to investigate. One of the bodies, there's nothing wrong, and they can't find out how this person died. And then right next to that person in a dumpster is a body that's just been absolutely gutted and decimated. So that kind of, it kicks off from there, but very quickly becomes this surreal journey where the main detective kind of gets sucked into the world. And the central premise behind it is they discover on the dead body that's been ravaged, a little case with these eye lenses in it. So it's kind of like lenses that you'd normally use for stuff, but it's they're special lenses that give you really clear vision for a number of years. So you put them on for 10 years or so. So they're like contact lenses, but future contact lenses that last a bit longer. So this detective has the idea, I'm going to see through the eyes of the guy that died. So he grabs them and sticks them in. But as he's putting them in, you're supposed to go to a special clinic and do this whole thing. He just sticks it in his eye in the bathroom. As someone knocks him as he's doing it, he jams it in wrong, and it ends up sort of, causing an infection and all sorts of stuff. But what it essentially does is it allows him to see some truly weird stuff that's going on that may or may not be real. And that's kind of where the story kicks off.
Some cyberpunk stuff. That sounds really interesting, man. So let's go ahead. You guys at home, I'm going to go ahead and show this clip to you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Nothing unusual about a 4 a.m. call to a back alley in downtown Kenton. A young woman lying pristine and unmarked on the cold, hard ground. I get to work quickly, but there's not much to go on here. No marks of any kind, no signs of struggle. Just a dead Vic in the middle of an alley. And then there's that. Dead body in a dumpster that looks like a grizzly bear has crawled its way out of his stomach.
Great stuff, man.
Thanks, man.
You know, you got some more of that stuff. So you guys go take a look at some of his books. I've got an interesting book that you send me, and I really appreciate it. It's called Whiplash. And let me tell you, I'm going to get into this book, you know, as soon as possible. I'm going to read this book. I mean, thank you for sending it out to me. And again, like I said, we're going to cover a few more books that you created, as well as there's another one that's coming out that you're working on. It's called Shadow's Daughter, which we'll get to eventually a little later in this episode. Awesome stuff. This is not like your ordinary 8-year-old comic book that you would read.
Nah.
You know what I mean? This is adult stuff here, man. You know what I mean? This is some good shit here.
So the Blood Below is a murder investigation. The detective is taking a look at it all, but it very quickly becomes apparent that there's something going on with this other world, and the murders are part of that whole process. The thing I love about the comics is, like you say, everything's up for grabs. It doesn't need to be for kids. It doesn't need to be just superhero stuff. It can be anything, and you can be as creative as you want, just about. It's kind of like doing film, but without having to do everything around the film. It's great fun.
Well, Brown, you when you were younger, were you into comic books, Brown?
I really wasn't, man. I was out. You know, I think my time, it was out the door and playing sports. I never really, you know, and then some of my other buddies were totally into comic books, baseball cards, you know, trading cards and stuff like that. And I never was, but now that I'm older, I find it very interesting, right? Because I think as you get older, you know, you get tired of the same old stuff, right?
Right.
The comic books of today are nowhere like before. Now, I could be totally wrong. Some people like the classic, but I like the graphics, because the graphics today, like on the Blood Beyond, like you were showing it really kind of immerses you into the story. Right, with the dark and the sinister and the dumpsters and the faces and the grit of the teeth, you know. So I think what I love about it, or I know what I love about it, is it makes your imagination kick in.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like you're watching a movie and you're just like do 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 do. You can watch them run around and you understand it and you get it. A comic book, it grabs you, right? It just goes like this. Come on.
Yeah.
And it pulls you in, and that's what I love about it. I mean, now that I'm getting older, I'm just. I think about things in a different aspect. You know, 20 years ago, I would say, nah, I have no interest. Today, I'm like, dude, this is unique. It's kind of like the Oculus, right?
Yeah.
I never thought of anything on a platform where, you know, there's avatars and this and that. But to me, this is another form of like the Oculus. It grabs me. I'm like, oh man, I'm interested in this. You know, and then I love the graphics, like when I was a kid. And then you see these graphics moving and things are, you know, and you're like, holy crap, this is pretty cool, man. You know, it's a different world. And I think that's why Comic-Con is so huge, as I think there's a lot of people that I think see what I'm seeing right now, and they just get sucked into that world, right? And then with the music, and then with the graphics, and then with your imagination, you know, as you're going through these things, even for you know, Morgan as a writer, I mean, he's got to be a unique cat, because he's the guy that's throwing the hook and he's pulling you in, right? So that's what I love about Morgan. Like, he'll pull you in, baby. Come on, we're going for a ride. Let's go. You know, and then he's got his music, and then he produces that. I find it very interesting, and I'm a fan, man. I have to tell you, I'm a fan, because I did get to go and see some of your stuff too, and it's like, this is pretty freaking cool, man. You know,
man.
so yeah, man. That, at least that's my take of it, right? I mean, I don't know. Am I reading it right, Morgan? Is that what you're trying to do? Is to grab them in with the graphics and the sound, and, you know, is that what you're going after?
Yeah, and it's also I'm trying to do the things that I want to see and that I would be interested in, and if I saw and I have, you see the books behind me, I wasn't into comics when I was a kid either. It just was. I think it was too confusing for me with the writing and the images together. It was just too much of either. And I was the same. I was out playing basketball or whatever else. I was running around, doing stuff. Until the hormones kicked in, and then I was running after other areas. But we won't go into that. But yeah, so I wasn't really into it. It was only later. So I'd been writing for 10 years or so, novels and all that sort of stuff, and didn't go anywhere near comics. Then I went into a comic book shop in Brisbane and saw all these indie comics and picked them up and started looking through and thought, oh my God, what have I been doing this whole time? I could have been doing this. Everything is up for grabs. You can do any genre of story, any length, just about. You can, and it's almost like when I looked at the first couple of collected editions, my immediate thought was, this is a Netflix limited series, but in a book form. It's kind of that thing. It's larger than just one story, but it's not, too long. And it's great. Yeah, and that's what I love about it.
So let me ask you this, because I need to understand the lingo. What is indigo? When you say indigo, I'm like, hey, now listen, I know what indica is, but I don't know what indigo is.
So there's two main sites where you would crowdfund for a comic book or for a bunch of other things, but comic book creators tend to crowdfund. So one is Kickstarter, which most people know about. The other is INDEGOGO. It's one of those platforms. So essentially you put it's almost like a stall at a Comic-Con or you're setting up a little market stall, and you're basically saying, here I am, this is what I'm offering, get involved, and if you back me, this is what you get out of it. So it's kind of inviting people to become part of the creative process and help you publish or launch the book. So for the Shadow's Daughter campaign, the current one I'm running, I ran that on Kickstarter, went really, really well, a lot of interest, great, fantastic. So then I closed that off because I've got to give those guys the books, so I need to quickly produce them and get them out. While I'm doing that, I'm running an INDEGOGO campaign for anyone that missed it. So for one reason or another, some people missed it or they didn't hear about it in time. I don't know how they wouldn't have heard about it, because I was shouting in front of anyone that would have me that this thing is up and running. But that's essentially what it is. It's a crowdfunding platform. But like I say, it's kind of like having a stall at a Comic-Con and trying to get people interested.
Oh, nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, pretty much at any good bookseller online. The other thing, you can just go to morganquaid.com, and most of my stuff's on there. Amazon. So for instance, the Shadow's Daughter and The Blood Below, they're both signed to a UK publisher called Mycosia. So they're available worldwide. They get printed locally. So if you buy them, you get them locally. So they don't take. Because a lot of people worry when they hear I'm from Australia and they think, oh, they're great. This guy's got a great book, and it's going to take 7 months to get to me, and it's going to cost $200, which used to be the way it was, 10 years ago. So now it's a lot better because you get. So for instance, the Kickstarter and the INDEGOGO campaign, I make sure I have a US printer and an Australian printer so that I can not have that problem. But pretty much go on there. Find me on social media anywhere. I'm not shy about telling you about my stuff, so you'll be able to find it fairly quickly.
Good. Well, we got this next clip, this next trailer, and it's indie. I think it's called Thuggery. Is that correct?
Idle Thuggery.
It begins on a night like any other. I head to the cash machine, grab my last 20, and head home.
Give me your money, man. I'll stab you. I'll do it. Give me your money now. I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna stab you.
Frankie, is that you? Bro, I haven't seen you in years. Look, I gotta run. You take my car. Give me a call sometime.
I love the soundtrack. How you created the soundtrack to these book covers, man. I swear they draw me in. They're like, okay, I wish this was actually a flick I could watch on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? So it draws you in, bro. I like it. I like it. So talk to me a little bit of the idle thuggery. I'm reading here after an old, encounter with an old school friend in a dark alley. Take it from there.
Yeah, so a guy that's a bit down on his luck, doesn't have a job. He gets robbed by a dude in a back alley, and then as he's getting robbed, these guys come out of a building and sort of knock the guy that was robbing him out. And these masked villains come out, these two thugs and the other guy with the guns. They're finding this guy, and they're obviously doing something illegal, so they're about to kill him. But the guy leading the gang recognizes him, and it's an old friend from school. And so, they start talking, and and the guy says, look, look me up. Let's have a coffee. Let's have a chat. I might have a job for you if you're interested. They meet up, and the job that he offers him is, look, I got a package. I just need you to deliver it for me. I'll pay really well. And he starts talking to his mate about, you should work for an arch villain. It's amazing. The benefits, the pay, everything. You can go to the top really quickly because everyone above you dies really quickly. So, great chance for advancement. So he sells it to this guy, and he becomes a henchman. So it's kind of a superhero story, but from the perspective of a henchman coming up through the ranks when everyone else around him is dying, and he kind of just survives. But it's a lot of fun. It's kind of taking the mickey out of some of the superhero stuff. So it's three issues in the first book, which tells the first story arc where about the main character, how he gets drawn in and what happens. And then it kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger that leads the way for the next series, which I've written, but I haven't produced that yet. It's three issues. They're quite large though. So most of my comics tend to be 30 to 40 pages. They're a bit longer than 22, 24, which is the normal size. So it's a good chunky book to get those three. Usually when you're doing a comic book, it can be anything from a writer and one artist to a writer and about 5 creative people. So you could have someone doing pencils, someone doing ink, someone doing colors, and someone doing lettering, which is the text at the end.
Right.
Most indie creators like me, we try and get it as cheap as we can. So I do all the lettering for my stuff, and I can't do the artwork, but I try and get an artist that can do everything except the lettering, and then I'm just, it's just the two of us, and then off we go. But yeah, there's a lot involved.
So let me ask you this: for a cat who's starting out and wants to get into something like writing comic books and stuff.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them? I mean, as far as the procedure goes, lay it on.
Talk to someone that's done it before. That was the mistake I made. I didn't talk to people that have done it before and run their own campaigns, and I made all the mistakes. So find people that have done it and that are willing to talk and get everything you can out of them. Most creators are really happy to just chat to people. So just get in and chat and absorb as much as you can. It's probably not advisable to just get in and start without talking to anyone.
Right.
In terms of the process, the biggest barrier is money, cash, because it does take a lot of money. Because each piece of artwork, so to give you an example, a page might have 3 to 6 panels, individual components on it, and each one of them is their own piece of art. So it's a lot of time. It takes your average artist maybe 2 days to do 1 page of full art. So that's a lot of time and money invested. Most for indie creators, you're looking at around $70 US to 120, 150 per page. So you're looking at around $2,000 or $3,000 minimum an issue. So it's a lot of money to invest in something. So that be aware of that would be number one. Find an artist that you work well with, you like the style of their artwork, they're dependable. The thing that most creators don't get when they first start is you're running a business. You're not a writer anymore.
Right.
You're a writer and a publisher and a marketer, and you have to learn to do all of those things because you're effectively running your own small business. So that's the side that I would work on, is how do I set this up so that I can get the funding for the project, get a decent artist that's also going to be dependable, You know, there's a lot of that, which is why I say half jokingly, find someone like me, find someone that's done it so you can chat to them and avoid some of the pitfalls, because it is a bit of a long haul to get to the end and actually get a product that you're proud of.
Oh, Brown, there you go, Brown. There's your tip, man. You always wanted to do that comic book of yours, you know what I'm saying?
All it took was one punch.
Okay, I'm done.
All it took was one punch.
Okay, I'm done.
Well, here's a question that neither one of us has asked him, and I've always been curious because you always hear writers. Have you ever gotten writer's block?
The short answer is yes, but no. So the writer's block that most writers get, and that I tend to get, is not I don't have any ideas. I don't know any writers that don't have ideas. They've got tons of ideas. I've got, you know, 17 comics and 9 novels. There's so much stuff going on. The problem is not that. The problem is usually, for instance, I'm writing book 3 of a series called the 7 Hungers. That's the novel version there. So I'm writing book 3 of that, which means 2 books before stuff has happened, and I've got to kind of remember that as I'm writing the book. My process is the first half of the book, I'm creating problems. I'm essentially putting the main characters in horrible circumstances that somehow I've got to get them out of by the end of the book. So you're doing all this twisting of knots and all that sort of stuff. So where I get the writer's block tends to be, I've created this problem. How do I undo it? Or the other block is, I have this villain. I know why they're there, but I have this villain. They're there, but I don't know why they're there. Why are they doing what they're doing? And what's the ultimate goal? And you know, before I can get to how do I stop them and what happens, it's kind of you get blocked on, I need the next bit of the puzzle, and I can't write until I get that bit. Right. So I do get that all the time, but I don't sort of get to the bit where it's like, oh, I can't write anything. That's I think a bit of a misnomer. I don't think most writers get that. It's more, on this project I'm stuck and I don't know how to fix this problem. And the way around it, if there's any writers that are having trouble with that, is you just write. You write any old garbage. The first draft of anything is usually garbage. So you just get in and just write. It doesn't matter. And just write speech or just write a weird idea or what. As long as you're writing, your brain will click into gear and you find you just start getting into a rhythm. Yeah. Sorry, that was a super long-winded answer to a very simple question. I'll say yes is my answer. Yes, I do. I get writer's block sometimes.
You know, it's interesting because when you come across that issue, do you tend to like, maybe, hey, you know what, I've lost my mind trying to figure out the next chapter of this series. Let me take it to another writer that probably could give me some more advice. Do you do that? Do you guys have that exchange? Like, do writers do that?
Good writers do. I don't as much as I should. So yeah, it is a thing where that is. I don't have a big writers support network. What I have is I have people that I trust that I share the ideas with, and I will just sit down and explain the plot through. And they'll like, there's one in particular, and she'll ask questions, and we'll go back and forwards. And as I'm doing that, I usually think, oh, that's a great idea. I now know my way out. So not so much writers, but just people that like these sorts of stories. I tend to just talk through. The other thing is, if I'm blocked at a point, I will watch anything I can grab that's in a similar genre. Any sort of sci-fi fantasy things, I'll get as much film and TV in me as I can, because sometimes there's just a little idea. It could be a terrible movie. It could be a really horrible movie, but there's one little idea in there that is a good idea. And that could be enough to sort of unlock where you're stuck and think, okay, I'll do something similar to that. But yeah.
Again, you guys go check his website. You know, he's really got a kind of great, interesting stuff out there. We're going to try to grab you in a couple of weeks for a live stream with you. And we're going to issue a couple of these books out to our audience. So those who tune in, you know, we'll give them a chance to randomly choose a winner to get an autograph signed by G with one of your books here. So, you know, that's going to be really, really great. So tell me a little bit about this Whiplash story.
Yeah, Whiplash. So this starts with an 18-year-old boy, man, whatever you are when you're 18, man, boy.
Dwarf?
I don't know.
Dwarf?
young man,
Young lad.
young lad. There we go. Young lad. Who gets abducted in the middle of the night. So he's alone at home. He gets abducted. He gets smashed into the back of what do you call the back? Trunk? Is that what you guys call it?
Yep, the trunk.
It's a boot where I am. It's a trunk where you guys are. So he gets thrown into a trunk, and then he gets taken down to this place, underground kind of secret facility, and starts getting interrogated about dreams. This really weird, forceful interrogation, asking him, have you dreamt of the Red City? When you dreamt of the Red City, was it a lucid dream? Could you move around? Could you not? And he's completely discombobulated, doesn't know what's going on. He's completely out of his depth. As the story progresses, you realize that the people that have him are interested in teenagers that are being able to dream their way into this dream world. And effectively, they're trying to gather an army together of people that can dream themselves in and get back again to fight an enemy that's going to be coming in. So basically, people are dying, and there's this group that's trying to fight against this this new enemy, and that's where it kind of kicks off.
It starts with a knock on my door at 3 a.m. Ginger and Man Mountain are standing there, giving me the stink eye like I'm supposed to know who the hell they are. The little guy says something about Giant wanting to bring me in, and then it all gets a little too real.
Wow. Interesting, man. Like the mind, you got to have that mindset,
Yeah,
you know?
it's like a fantasy
You got to have
kind
that
of
mind.
a fantasy
Yeah.
type of thing going there. I like
Yeah.
it. I like
Very
it.
much.
When it comes to something like this, it kind of
Yeah.
draws me in. Like, hey, let me check out this
Yeah.
book. You know, and
Well, because, hey, we think about it, he's writing it.
right,
You know, you think, man, if I ever get thrown in a trunk, I'm screwed. Yeah, well, let's try to figure this out, right? So it's like it's almost like critical thinking. You have to really, when you see these things, your mind starts to go. Tick, 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 tick. You go, oh man, look at that graphics, the sound. It grabs you. That's why I said I like that. I'm enjoying that.
it's
I'm
a
going to
fight
get
for
into
survival. This sounds like a really, really good one. I mean,
Yeah.
someone who's into that type of stuff, go check it out. It's called Whiplash, and it's on. You can go ahead and buy that on his website at morganquaid.com, I believe, right?
That's the one. Yep.
morganquaid.com. And it sounds really, really interesting. Again, you guys, if at home you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notifications and to let you know when we drop a new video and when we have our live streams. Hit up Mr. Morgan. He's on YouTube himself. So subscribe to
Twitter. He's on Twitter also. Yeah, got to put him out
You
there,
got
baby.
Facebook. You got a little bit of Facebook going on. Your stuff's on Facebook. So check him out.
Yeah.
Morgan Quaid, baby. He's the man.
He's making it happen down under.
Down under from Australia. You know what I'm saying? So, you know. So let me get into this last one here. This one I really you're working on. This is a project that you're working on. You have a couple of books already out, I think, of it. The infamous Shadow's Daughter.
Shadow's Daughter.
Talk to me, because this, my man, has great graphics. I got to say, I got to hand it down to you, your people over there. Great graphics and an interesting storyline. So talk to me. What's up with Shadow's Daughter?
So Shadow's Daughter is about a young female bounty hunter in a world that's parallel to ours. So similar sort of time frame, except 30 odd years ago, a red moon or a blood moon rose. And while that was sort of hanging in the air, the whole earth, went under huge changes. So there were earthquakes and fire and all sorts of stuff going crazy. And a certain percentage of the population started to show preternatural abilities and things coming out. So your vampires and your werewolves and those sort of things, they started to come out of hiding, but also certain people were sort of transformed or remade into these individuals. So the world that this takes place in is kind of split between the majority who are mundanes, just normal people like us, and then these remade individuals that are a combination of those preternatural beings. And then a lot of them are what's called mancers, which are sorcerers, magicians, whatever you want to call them. And one subset of that are shadowmancers, who are incredibly rare. And the girl, Summer, who's the main character, she is a shadowmancer. So she has the ability to use shadow as a weapon or a shield and manipulate it like any other sort of physical force that she would be able to take hold of. The thing is, there's only 2 shadowmancers in living memory, and she's one, and the other one is a serial killer that lived years earlier and is now gone. But in the kind of minds of the general populace, it makes her that much more scary, because they see her bending shadow and their immediate thought is, this is another one of those freaks that's going to kill everyone and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of that going on there. And the story is essentially about her. She works for the Bureau, who are essentially a government body trying to keep the remade population under control. And she goes out and collects bounties, and that's how she makes her money. And her primary concern is money. Her primary concern is, how do I pay rent?
She's a money whore. Is she a money whore?
She wants that. Well, she wants the money, but she's not wealthy at all. So they don't pay much, and it's just to pay the rent and buy a new bike. So there's no heroic kind of. She's not out to save the world or anything like that. But as the story progresses, the story is about this incredibly powerful individual and what happens when her power is taken away, and how does she cope with it, deal with it. And you'll notice in the title of the series as well, which was, I can't believe what a stupid thing it was that I did. But if you read the title, Shadow apostrophe S daughter, well, the first question everyone's asking is, well, who is Shadow then?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which kind of gives the whole thing away, right? Straight away, I'm giving it away. Right. You know that it's because as the story goes on, she's an orphan, and she was born at the time that everything went crazy on Earth. But she's an orphan, so you don't know who her parents are. And now immediately you're thinking, oh, well, her father's name must be Shadow. So what does that mean, and where does he come from? So as the story progresses, she discovers more of that as it goes along. But then there's also, so there's two rungs to the story. Main epic story where she learns about herself and her family and all this sort of stuff. The second are a series of, they're actually black and white manga style comics that are almost like episodes from her career as a bounty hunter. So they're sort of like, in the last 10 years, who has she hunted down? What trouble has she gotten into? All of that sort of stuff. And they're kind of standalone comics. So the current project that I've got is 6 books, 6 comics. They're all 40 pages plus, so they're quite big. 2 of them are the main story, and that's in color. And then there's 4 side issues that are black and white that are, again, more about her history of how she worked as a bounty hunter. There's actually now, since a little time has passed, so there's 6 that are done that are ready for a print, and there are 3 that are digital copies that I'm offering as extras for people that support the campaign, and another one that's just getting finished off. So probably another 6 months and they'll all be available online, but these are different versions where there's extras that you get added in as part of the campaign. And a few of the extra things were some people got drawn in, so they got their faces drawn into one of the issues, and their name on the back and a few things like that. So
that's nice. That's awesome, guys. So go check that out. You know, it's some interesting books he's got. And again, we're going to have a live stream with my man Quaid over here. We're going to have an interesting live stream. If you guys have questions, stay tuned to that because that's going to be a very good one. Again, you know, thank you for jumping in, taking the time from, you know, Australia.
Yeah.
I know it's a different time zone out there, man, but we really appreciate it.
I'm excited. I can't wait to dig into it a little bit more. I'm going to go to the website and check some of these little previews out and look into it. So, yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to digging into this.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanst so much for having me.
All right.
Been great.
No worries.
Again, you guys, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment in the comment. Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Quaid here. He's got a YouTube channel as well, Facebook. You know, again, he's got his website. Check him out, morganquaid.com. Everybody, see you guys in the next one.
Take care, guys. Have a great day.